How are you, lovers and leaders? Welcome to another time with me, Dr. Sarah Bash. I am your industrial organizational psychologist. I am your coach, okay, your accountability partner, your friend, okay, and your spiritual advisor. So, welcome to another session with me. How are you? Hope you're doing amazing, amazing, amazing. So, listen, I had a thought the other day. Just thinking about how one can have multiple giftings, okay? And then there's multiple talents, right? And the difference is the giftings, when I say like giftings, like spiritual giftings, these are things that God gives to his children to empower, right? Other people out there to become who they're meant to be. And then there's talents, right? Where it's just something you're just kind of you've trained, you've trained, in platforms such as the school system to do, right? Or maybe somebody in your um, childhood home taught you how to do something such as cooking and cleaning, right? So today I really want to focus more on the confusion that really happens when you have multiple talents, right? You just don't know what to do, especially when you're in the 30s, 40s range, maybe even 20s, but 20s you're still experimenting, so it's still kind of fun. But I'm really targeting the 30s and 40s and beyond, right? Where you've come to a bit of a stalemate in your career or just like life in general. And you're asking yourself, what should I do? You're so confused. You could do this, you could do that. You've tried to get advice, you're just stuck. And that's the thing about having multiple talents, right? If it was just one thing that you're good at, that's fine. But many of you out there have multiple things that you could actually be doing, right? So I was meditating on a wise story the other day. It's actually found in Second Kings chapter 4. Second Kings chapter 4. And basically it's a woman that has two kids, and her husband passed away, right? Her husband passed away. And her husband, who was actually a man of God, served as a man of God, had so much debt, so much debt. And then the woman proceeds to say, you know what, now the debt collectors are coming and they're going to take my boys. She said they're going to take my boys as slaves, right? Modern times we may say as employees, hired workers. I don't know. I'll leave that to you to make that judgment. But and then there was this consultant that came along, a man of God. His name was Elisha, Prophet Elisha. And he says to the woman, well, how can I help you? Because she's crying out for help at this point. She doesn't want her two boys to go into slavery to pay off the debt that her husband left behind, right? And he says, how can I help you? And then he says, what's in your house, right? What's in your house? Because he needs to figure out what do you have? Because see, before you get help in life and you know what to do, you have to really identify what you have. And that's the thing about multiple talents. Sometimes it's even hard to identify it. But anyway, this is really interesting about what the woman responds. She says, nothing. I have a jar of oil. Nothing. I have a jar of oil. Let's just park right there for a second. I would not be surprised if many of you right now, the reason why you're stuck or you feel like you're stuck, you can't move forward, you're not sure, how to pivot next in life in your career, or maybe it's a business venture, because what you have to offer, you view it as nothing. This is just what I do. You don't value it. Nothing. If I asked you today, what 3 things are you like naturally good at, right? That can be profitable. That can be profitable. You probably say, you'd have to think about it, right? So the woman says, nothing. And then he proceeds, the man of God, right? He proceeds to say, all right, get that jar of oil that you do have in your house, all right? And I want you to go to all your neighbors and get big containers, And I'm thinking to myself, I'm sure she's thinking to herself, why? But she does it anyway. She goes to all her neighbors with her boys to get empty vessels, empty containers. Then Prophet Elisha said, okay, bring them in and shut the door. And guess what happens next? That little oil that she said that was nothing, he says, pour them in the different containers. They're empty containers. He says, pour them in. Right? And you know what's so interesting is that as the empty containers were kept coming to her from the different people, right? The oil kept flowing from a very empty jar. It kept flowing into multiple and multiple containers. And at some point in time, there was no more people coming to give her empty containers. And guess what? The oil stopped. The oil stopped flowing. Then the man of God said, all right, sell off these containers with oil to pay your debt. And when you've all the leftover, keep it for you and your boys to live on. There's a few things we can learn from this, you and me, okay? We need to identify something in our life, a talent, for example, a talent that you take for granted. I don't even blame you, because society probably hasn't required you to use it, that you can really see it's actually valuable. In your jobs that you have, or even in your home life, it's probably a skill that's very embedded in something that you do so naturally that you're not identifying it. But the big thing of all I just want to point out is that skill, those multiple skills, those multiple talents that you have and you think is nothing, meaning you think that it's not going to be profitable. This is what it is. If you offer it to people, all right? Like many of you are already offering some skills at your job and you're getting paid, right? So it's valuable. It's something you're doing naturally that is very valuable and profitable to them. But those of you that want to actually use your skills, especially if you're stuck, that age rate of 30s, 40s, 50s, and you're trying to figure out what to do next, right? Identify that skill that you yourself are taking for granted. Nothing. You know why it's actually even nothing to you? Because you're not actually blessing many people with that skill. You see, that woman, she just said, I have a small jar of oil, and God knows what she was going to do with it. But if she didn't do nothing with it, it would have stayed a small jar of oil. The only reason why it multiplied, because she listened to the consultation of the man of God, right? She listened to the counsel of this man of God, and she said, you know what? I'm going to offer this little thing that I have, this unsuspecting, valuable oil. For some of you, this unsuspecting skill that you think is nothing because it comes to you so naturally. I'm going to offer this out to multiple people. Multiple. And you'll be surprised when you offer it to one and that person says, oh, wow, that's great. Guess what? Another person will say, that's great. What is it that people tell you? Just like, by the way, and they say, you would be really good at that. I have somebody that I know that I work with, right? And I literally tell her she could be really good if this kind of this events skills that she has, she kind of does it in the workplace. I said to her, if she does it like puts a lot more energy into it, she could really scale. She'd say to me, yeah, I know. But that's a perfect example of she can't see it. And oftentimes we need an outside person to see that natural skill that can be profitable, but she can't see it that well. But every so often I do remind her. I see that thing. She kind of sees it, but not really. She doesn't see how it's going to be profitable. Because you know what it is? Just like some of you out there, you're not even allowing that skill to be given out to anybody. You're still hoarding, you're keeping it to yourself. The thing is, if you keep that asset to yourself, that skill to yourself, it's not going to have any value but to yourself. Try offering it to somebody. Some of you are good at just cleaning. How many cleaning businesses out there? Some of you are really good at like creating like concoctions for coffees and drinks. Create like a stand to offer drinks and coffee at some events. Just try it. The next time you have some kind of like outside event, or maybe do something in your yard, sell them for, a small price. Just see how many people respond to what you have. Some of you are really great at cooking muffins from scratch, okay? From scratch. Offer it to certain people in your workplace. Offer it to some people where you go frequently per week. See what happens. Charge them $1. Charge them $5. See what their response is. You got to try it. You got to try it. I was at the nail salon about a week ago. Yeah, a week ago. And I was talking to the young lady that was doing my nails. I was really curious about the mind of Chinese people. Yeah, Chinese people. Because we know they are very heavily skilled in manufacturing, and they're very good. They're very skilled in trade, all right? And to cut a long story short, one of the things that I gleaned from the conversation with this young girl was that the mind of Chinese people is that they, in their culture, they are basically programmed generally, all right, especially old school Chinese, programmed to use their passions, to make income from their passions, like sewing, artistry, their passions, just making stuff. That's how they're groomed. That's how they grew up. You got to turn your passion into a profit, into how you're going to live your livelihood. Whereas, I was talking to her in a Western world, what's the programming? Oh, passion is just like a side gig. Oh, or maybe even not. It's a hobby. How about that? In the Western world, it's a hobby, your passions, for the most part, right? You know what are we programmed to do? Find a career. Go to school and find a career. And guess what? You find a career, okay, get very successful, and then at some point in life, you have this awakening and you're like, yeah, this is not it. You're still not satisfied. You're still trying to figure it out. And the reason why, for the most part in the Western world, we hit that plateau, we're still trying to figure it out, or we're just not satisfied, because let's keep it a buck. We were in a system to be prepared to get a job in another man or woman's business. We were not programmed, in other words, educated, in other words, trained to focus on our natural talents and live off that. Like the woman in the scriptures, 2 Kings chapter 4, there was something in her house. So metaphorically speaking, something within your body, within your soul, can be a profit. And that profit, don't just focus about making money. Focus on the fact that you are going to be of value to many people. You're going to make many people happier. You're going to reduce their pain points in life when you decide to sell, okay, that one thing. Let's start with the one thing, that one talent, all right, that you think is nothing, all right, but think about, just do a little research, all right, when you log off this video, do a little research what you think you're good at least the one thing that you think is nothing, right? You've never been told it was something, or maybe somebody did tell you, but you were like, whatever. Write it down. Now do research and see how many people are actually making a profit of that one talent. Do they have 3 heads? Do they have 3 heads? I bet they don't. And it's the thing about Chinese people too. In general, let's keep it 100%. They're very hardworking. They are not afraid to work hard. All right? Let's keep it a buck. Having a job is great, but there's a beginning and then there's an ending. Being an entrepreneur, for example, there's no really beginning and ending, but it's your passion. So I hope at the end of this video, you're able to get to this point of like, all right, I have multiple talents. You're hitting a plateau in your career right now. You don't know which way to pivot. All right. Sure, you can find another job in relation to this one talent you can identify, right? To gain you more earnings and make you more happy in the workplace. Or you can actually use that, identify that talent and start a business. And really dive into that passion like our Chinese counterparts. And then I really do believe, and I'm seeing this in my own life, when I'm tapping into those natural talents, there is no boredom. There is no, oh, I'm stuck, okay? There is no, okay, what should I do next? Because just like the scripture, 2 Kings chapter 4, the oil kept flowing. As long as, she kept asking for people's vessels to pour into, that oil, that power, that talent, that thing you have to offer is going to keep flowing. The reason why you're stuck is because you're not using that natural talent and offering it to people. So it's not flowing. It's not flowing. So number one, identify at least one natural talent. Just one. Just one. All right? Research how other people are using it and take a bet on yourself and offer it to at least 5 people, all right, in the next 1 week. And then 5 people again. Just keep getting a response, because that feedback you'll get from those 5 people, 5 and 5 at a time. I don't know why I'm thinking 5, but at least in relation to this story, she, the woman kept getting empty vessels. So just keep finding people that need what you have. Because that empty vessel really means, in translation, right, what I'm trying to say is you need to find people that need what you have. Their void, you can fill their void. All right? If you're tracking me, let me know in the comment section. Okay? Let me know in the comment section. Now, if you do need some guidance with this, I do offer services for career development, or even like business ideas that you're just trying to like flush through, and a lot of other things I offer. Please check out the link in my the description section and sign up for one-on-one coaching. I'll be happy to help you. Because listen, in this life, one thing about humility is that you're opening yourself to this new level of you, and you want to know more of yourself. And sometimes the reality is just like in this story of 2 Kings chapter 4, where you have like the man of God consulting with the woman that was in debt and she needed help fast, right? You need an outside neutral help to see your blind spots. All right. And that's why I offer these services. Okay. So please sign up as soon as you can. All right. Because time is of the essence. Some of you are in debt. Some of you truly need to get out of the current workplace, job, stuck, stagnant situation you are in. And you just need that. You just need some advice and counsel, which I'm willing to offer you, just to see something a little bit different, just to pivot just slightly into the light, to have a different perspective. And then you're going to start flowing. Then you're going to start having people come to you. Then you're going to be able to sell and make people happy. And of course, at the end, make yourself happy as well. All right? Until next time, I'm going to see you in the next video. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Bye for now.